So on the last day of the January transfer window, Manchester United managed to bring in Marcel Sabitzer from Bayern Munich on a loan deal till the end of the season as essentially a Christian Eriksen replacement after his injury against Reading has reportedly ruled him out till the end of April, maybe even early May. So I think the questions that everyone is asking is, how good is Marcel Sabitzer actually? What are the similarities between him and Christian Eriksen? How will he fit into Ten Hag's side tactically? And do I think that Manchester United should be looking to sign him permanently in the summer? So Sabitzer is currently 28, soon to be 29 in mid-March. And so United are bringing in a player who is in his peak, which from a short-term perspective is definitely what United need. And given that it is a 6-month loan, we are looking for an instant impact from the Austrian. He is a player who's very familiar with the Red Bull system and the style of play, having played at Red Bull Salzburg, RB Leipzig and under Julian Nagelsmann at Bayern Munich. And so as you would expect, he ticks all of the boxes that you would want from a midfielder in this type of aggressive pressing system that we do see the Red Bull teams use. But even though now he is definitely regarded as a central midfielder, a player that can play in a midfield double pivot, earlier on in his career at RB Leipzig, he definitely made his name playing in a more advanced role, playing as a wide midfielder, which is really a central attacking midfielder, as we know that the Red Bull teams do like to use that very narrow 4-4-2 shape that essentially becomes a 4-2-2 in possession. And so Sabitzer is a player that's transitioned from a more attacking role, moving back and taking the defensive skills that he learnt from the Red Bull system and applying them to a deeper role in central midfield. He is definitely going to bring a lot more industry and energy to that central midfield position, replacing Christian Eriksen, with Eriksen definitely being more of a playmaker and not necessarily having the athleticism or physicality or the defensive attributes that we do see from Sabitzer, but I will come into that later on in the analysis. Now we'll start by looking at what he offers in possession, as obviously that is the biggest concern with Eriksen going out of the team, as neither Fred or McTominay are anywhere near the level needed to replace Eriksen in this regard. And I do think Sabitzer is definitely an upgrade on what those two offer, but I do think people are kind of misinterpreting what Sabitzer offers in possession. He's definitely a high volume short passer. Just by looking at his numbers you can see that he does complete a lot of short passes, and he did so at RB Leipzig as well, so he will suit this possession orientated Ten Hag system, being able to connect with players with a lot of short passes. But I have seen a lot of people saying that he's a very good long passer, and he definitely has the ability to do this, and we did see this when RB Leipzig did play against United a couple of years ago, when Sabitzer was able to pick up an assist from a wonderful switch of play, setting up Angelino's strike into the far corner perfectly. However, when we actually delve deeper into Sabitzer's numbers, we can see how the eye test can be quite misleading. He definitely has the ability to play these long switches of play, as we've seen him do it for both Bayern Munich and RB Leipzig, but when we actually look at his numbers, we can see that he only ranks in the 45th percentile for his long passes completed, and actually doesn't complete a lot of long passes per 90, only ranking in the 18th percentile. For his medium passes he is ranking a bit higher, but certainly nowhere near his short passes, but he still only ranks in the 54th percentile for his short pass completion rate, which is still fairly high to be fair at around 88%, and he only sits in the 32nd percentile for his switches as well. So I think the categorization of Sabitzer as a like-for-like replacement with Christian Eriksen, a player who's going to be able to switch play with these long raking passes throughout the whole game, is definitely misguided, and I would actually say that Casemiro is a lot better in terms of his long passing ability, and so we could see Casemiro be the player to pick up this creative burden in the deeper positions. He ranks in the 55th percentile for his passes into the final third, the 72nd percentile for his passes into the penalty area, and the 70th percentile for his overall progressive passes. And so his ability to progress the ball forward via his passing, particularly when he's up against a deep defensive unit, is definitely not a weakness, but I wouldn't call it a strength either. And I would say that both Eriksen and Casemiro are far superior. But to be honest, I don't think this is Sabitzer's game. I don't think he's a playmaker personally. I think he's much more of a box-to-box central midfielder. And this does keep in line with the Red Bull gegenpressing philosophy, as that Rangnick and Klopp school of thought definitely puts more emphasis on players who can move the ball forward quickly and vertically, rather than having central midfielders who specialise in dictating play from deep and dominating the game. And so Sabitzer and Eriksen are two different types of central midfielders in my opinion. And I would actually go as far to say that Sabitzer is more like a Fred upgrade rather than a Christian Eriksen replacement. For a player who used to be an attacking midfielder, Sabitzer is fantastic defensively. He ranks in the 93rd percentile for his overall tackles won, as well as his tackles won in the defensive third. He ranks in the 64th percentile for his tackles in the middle third, and the 97th percentile for his tackles in the attacking third. Combine this with the fact that he ranks in the 74th percentile for the percentage of dribblers he's tackling, and you can see how Sabitzer would fit in perfectly to Ten Hag's counter-pressing style. And so unlike Christian Eriksen, Sabitzer can offer a lot more in the pressing phase, pushing up onto opposition players, and having a greater ability to win the ball back high up the pitch. And after the turnover is complete, he's well versed with moving the ball forward quickly, finding a quick vertical pass forward, and so in this sense he provides a great mixture between what both Eriksen and Fred offer when they are utilised alongside Casemiro in that role. And so if I had to summarise what I think Sabitzer is going to bring to this Manchester United midfield, I think the best way I can describe it is just an overall increase in industry and energy. With Eriksen, despite him being fantastic on the ball and crucial to United's build-up and overall progressive play in possession and also being a very good chance creator in the final third, I did feel that without the ball, United were very reliant on Casemiro to mop up things, get into those loose balls in the centre of the pitch, as Casemiro is fantastic at anticipating and then moving quickly to complete the interception or tackle. Whereas Eriksen, understandably, is a bit more standoffish. You don't see him really going into tackles and winning possession back for United, and that is one of the few benefits of having someone like Fred in that central midfield position rather than Eriksen. But with Sabitzer, United really have a player who can do a bit of both. Him alongside Casemiro are going to be a double pivot that are going to be exceptional at winning these loose balls, winning 50-50 challenges, and so I do expect United to be able to dominate a lot more games than they perhaps otherwise wouldn't be able to with Eriksen in that central midfield position. And this has been a major thing why I do think United need to upgrade in that position. As well as Eriksen is very good in possession, there are certain times throughout games and certain games as a whole where you need a central midfielder who can do both. And this is why in the modern game, central midfielders like Jude Bellingham and Enzo Fernandez are valued so highly. And I would put Sabitzer in the same category as those two. In terms of Sabitzer and Eriksen's output in the final third, Eriksen is definitely superior when it comes to his chance creating, sitting in the 97th percentile for his XG assisted, while Sabitzer sits in just the 65th. And this is because Eriksen's vision and weight of pass around the box is so good. He has the ability to thread those incisive passes into on-running players in goal-scoring positions, whilst also being an excellent crosser when backing up the play. And so whilst I wouldn't say this is a weak part of Sabitzer's game, he's certainly not as good as Eriksen. However, Sabitzer does make up for this in terms of his goal scoring. Eriksen does rank in the 82nd percentile for his non-penalty XG, with Sabitzer slightly higher in the 91st. However, Eriksen does significantly underperform his non-penalty XG by around 0.08 per 90, seeing him sit in the 49th percentile for his non-penalty goals. Whereas with Sabitzer, even though he does slightly underperform his non-penalty XG as well, he is recording significantly higher non-penalty goals, sitting in the 78th percentile with 0.14 goals per 90. And so all in all, Sabitzer definitely isn't a like-for-like replacement with Christian Eriksen, but he does offer a lot of the things that United do need in central midfield. And many of those things are things that Eriksen does lack, like the defensive contribution, with Eriksen really not being anywhere near the level needed at the top level, which is why we do see Ten Hag put Fred in those positions in big games. But whilst you do lose that quarterback-like creativity in deep positions that Eriksen does have, Sabitzer is still very good offensively, being able to move the ball forward quickly when he does win the ball back, which does suit Ten Hag's counter-pressing style, as I've already mentioned. But I would also say that Sabitzer doesn't solve all of Eriksen's problems, as unlike someone like Frankie de Jong or Jude Bellingham, neither excel when it comes to their ball carrying, with Eriksen sitting in the 22nd percentile for his dribbles completed, and Sabitzer sitting in the 29th, so this is definitely an area of United's central midfield that they should be looking to improve in the summer, and I do go over this in my video where I analyse the central midfielder that Manchester United should sign. I do have one video looking at more premium options and another video looking at better value for money options, both of which will be linked in the description below for you to check out after this video. But let's now look at how Ten Hag could use Sabitzer from a tactical point of view. So in the build-up phase, when United drop into that 2-3-2-3 shape, and to be honest, I do think Sabitzer could be used in that deep single pivot position, but likely Casemiro will be used there, though it is good to have versatility in the central midfielders, though likely we'll see Sabitzer alongside Fernandez sitting as one of the two central midfielders ahead of Casemiro in this phase of play. But it's as we move further up the pitch where things become a bit more interesting. So Christian Eriksen was very good at dropping into the temporary back three in that 3-1-6 shape that we do see Ten Hag use when United have control of the ball in the middle third, playing that kind of quarterback role wide of the opposition's front two where he has more space. However, I don't really think Sabitzer suits this role because he doesn't have the same passing range or creativity from these deep positions, and so this is why I don't think Sabitzer is a like-for-like Christian Eriksen replacement. And so rather than seeing Sabitzer drop into the back three in one of these quarterback roles, I think he would definitely be better suited to playing higher up the pitch between the lines, almost as an attacking midfielder, as he's very good at receiving the ball in congested areas, and he's also used to playing a midfield role where he often drifts around, coming in from wide positions, into positions in behind the midfield, whilst also being able to drop in front of the midfield as well. And I do think these quarterback positions would be much better suited to someone like Luke Shaw on the left, who's a very good carrier of the ball and also a very good long passer as well. Or you could alternatively have Sabitzer playing in that deep single pivot position in front of the temporary back three in possession, and have Casemiro drop into one of these wider positions, because I do think that Casemiro is a lot better in terms of his long passing than Sabitzer, and also offers a bit more creativity than the Austrian would from these positions. But I do think it's going to be in the front six, which is effectively a 5 behind a centre forward, where Sabitzer is going to have most success, playing in those central positions, and like Bruno Fernandes, he's also going to provide the ability to make those runs ahead of the forward line. So when the striker, either Weghorst or Martial, drops off from the forward line, dragging a centre back with him out of the back line, we could see Sabitzer make a run from deep and get into goal scoring positions. So I have said that I don't think Sabitzer is identical to Eriksen. I would actually compare Sabitzer to maybe someone like Darren Fletcher. If you remember Fletcher from around maybe about 2008 to about 2011, he was a box-to-box central midfielder who could do a bit of everything. He certainly didn't excel in terms of his passing and his creativity like Scholes or Carrick did, but he offered a substantial amount in terms of his energy, his defensive output, his ability to get into the box, his ability to just keep things moving in the centre of the pitch. And I do think this is what Sabitzer's going to bring to this Manchester United midfield as well. So overall, do I think Sabitzer's a good short-term signing? Well, I'd have to say yes. I think he offers exactly what United do need from a central midfielder, as I do think it'll be very interesting to see what it will be like to have a different type of central midfielder to Eriksen alongside Casemiro, and whether this will actually make the team better. And so going into the summer, I think this will give Ten Hag a better idea of the exact type of central midfielder that he needs long term in that central midfield alongside Casemiro, as I definitely don't think that long term Sabitzer is the answer. He could be a very good backup player, a squad player to come in, and that could definitely be an option if he performs well for the rest of the season. So let me know what you think of Sabitzer as a sign-in the comment section below. Give the video a like, subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you do get notified when my videos come out. Check the description for more videos, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram for more content as well.